Several years ago, I ran a half marathon barefoot after being inspired by Chris McDougall's book, Born to Run, where he profiles a tribe of Native Americans who run incredibly long distances barefoot. And I'm not saying I would recommend this to anybody because it's not all rainbows, but it was a lot of fun, and training to run a long distance in difficult conditions really taught me a lot about perseverance and how big tasks are often just mental and nothing more. But what I want to emphasize for you today is not about pushing yourself to the limits. It's actually the opposite. Because you'll notice I said half marathon, not marathon. I was training for a marathon, but I think I might have overdone it. I might have done too much too soon, or pushed myself too hard, or maybe I should not have been running barefoot at all, especially not in New York City, although I did only get glass in my foot twice, but that's another story. My point here is that you don't want to overdo it. Training for the LSAT is a marathon, not a sprint. And back when I was studying for the LSAT, I studied for it over the course of an entire year as I gradually worked through every book I could find, every exam ever released, and slowly and steadily, my scores started to rise. And maybe you don't have an entire year, and that's okay. But you don't want to do this in just 1 month, 2 months, or even 3 months. The LSAT is important enough. It's the number one biggest factor in your law school admission success that you want to really take the time. And just as with a marathon training schedule, you don't want to do too much on consecutive days. So I would run 8 miles one day, then take the next day off. Then run 8 miles the next day, take the following day off. And then as the marathon got closer, I would do long training runs on the weekend. So you might do occasionally an 18-mile run or a 20-mile run, just a couple of them before the big event. And so my advice to you related to that is you don't want to do tons and tons of practice exams every single day. That's a recipe for burnout. Instead, you want to take days off. So I would take an exam on one day, take the following day off, then spend a day doing a couple of timed sections, review those, maybe brush up on some fundamentals, review those, take a day off, then the following weekend, do another full-length timed exam. But I would never do more than 1 or 2 full-length timed exams in a week. If you want to do a couple of timed sections, that's another thing, something smaller, but you don't want to overdo it. These exams are not just simply opportunities to measure yourself and then feel happy or sad about the results. Instead, you want to learn from your mistakes. And so the review process should actually take just as long or longer than the actual exam. And so rest and review are just as important, if not more important, than drilling and training yourself for the big event. So my advice to you, take it slow and steady, train hard some days, but recuperate the following days. Don't do too much too soon. Don't make the same mistake I did with the marathon running, and don't put yourself through excruciatingly difficult conditions. Maybe if you want to do a 6-section exam once, that's fine. But I don't really think that doing 8 sections in one sitting is necessary. First of all, that would take a really long time. Second of all, it would use a lot of practice material. And third, it's just so far beyond what the actual test will be with 5 sections, not 8, that I think 5 or 6 is more than enough. So please take this advice to heart. Don't risk burnout. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all. Leave a comment, subscribe. Email me with any ideas for future videos. I'd love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I wish you all the best.